On today's show, the Phoenix Suns dropped their first game out of their 6-game road trip in South Beach to the Miami Heat in an almost improbable, impressive comeback victory, but coming up short. Why did they lose this game? We'll talk about that. We'll dissect it next on Locked On Phoenix Suns.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up? Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. My name is Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on YouTube, where we stream at 8 a.m. talking all Arizona sports and a credentialed Phoenix Suns media member covering your Phoenix Suns 365 days out of the calendar year for the #1 sports podcast network in the world, the Locked On Podcast Network. Wherever you may be listening, viewing, consuming Locked On Phoenix Suns, I appreciate making this show and myself a part of your day. Reminder, Locked On Phoenix Suns free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands of Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked onto the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by the lovely folks over at FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Listen, you guys know my style by now, and I'm not going to beat you over the head with it. I am not fond of losing. I think too often times we are complacent in Arizona, not just as fans, but as media as a whole, who take losing lightly or wear it almost as like well, that's just what we do here in Arizona. Sometimes we slip up and, well, that's just Arizona sports. You guys know I'm into winning, and it's why I'm not into moral victories, and it's why I am someone who is harsh sometimes to a fault, because I want this team and any team to have any pressure that they should have on them. But context matters, and the Suns are having an incredible season. They are 25-14 the last time we checked on the Phoenix Suns. I'm sorry, they were 24-14. Now they are 24-15 with a loss to the Miami Heat. And again, losing is never okay. Ever. It is never okay. That is what losers do. That's what loser mentality is. But if you're going to lose, I want you to do it this way. I want you to do it like this. That was a really impressive loss from the Suns. Now we'll talk about why losing that game, there was reasons why they should have won, just quick hitters in the fourth quarter. You can't have that many turnovers. Suns had 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter. You can't just gift wrap the ball to the other team 6 times and overcome that in a quarter, in just a singular quarter. You got to take care of the basketball. And then, of course, there were some late game blunders where the Miami Heat got in the Suns' head a little bit. But there's a lot of good to take from this game. First off, yes, should the Suns beat the Miami Heat? Yes, they're the better team. And I think you kind of saw that a little bit tonight. But to dig yourself out of that hole that you were in halftime where the Suns were down by more than double-digit scores, I think it was like 16. For some reason, my notes aren't popping up where I normally look at that, but it was north of 15 points or 15 right exactly. And to claw yourself back into that game, to be down as much as the Suns were down in the first half, where all of the Suns' deficiencies were getting exposed. They're a small team where the Miami Heat had 22 points in the paint in the first quarter. They were absolutely annihilating the Phoenix Suns on the glass. The Suns, just so we're clear, would have had every right to just say, okay, it's not our night. We're going to coast. We'll get this team in a couple of weeks when we play them again. We know we're better than them. We'll figure it out. It is really impressive that this Suns team, being down as much as they were down in the first game of a 6-game road trip, knowing it's going to be a long roadie ahead, that they put their heads down and went to work. And in that third quarter, completely closed the gap to where in the fourth quarter, you were tied going into that. And had a chance to win that game and probably should have won. One of the reasons why the Suns are going to be such a tough out in the playoffs with whoever they match up against, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, those teams might beat the Suns. In fact, they probably will beat the Suns. The Nuggets, the Oklahoma City Thunder, even the Rockets. I've mentioned that the Rockets are a better matchup for the Phoenix Suns because of their size, because of their height. But the Suns play with 120% effort and tenacity and grit that cannot be replicated with skill. With whatever skill gap the Suns don't have when they play in against other teams, they make up for with an abundance of effort. And look no further than that second half, where the Suns probably should have won this game. And if not for some fourth quarter mistakes, they probably win this game. But it should be eye-opening to you that when the Suns are in the playoffs, as a 6th seed, in the play-in, whatever, their secret sauce is going to be no lead is safe. Don't get too comfortable. Because when you get comfortable, that's when you're going to get got. And that's what the Suns did tonight. I don't want to be like, it would be different if the Suns weren't just coming off a couple of wins. If the Suns weren't so impressive this year. And just so we're clear, losing is never okay. And there's a reason why the Suns lost this game. And I'm going to get into that in the second and in the third segment. But the reasoning why the Suns are going to be such a tough out in the playoffs is because you're going to have to outwill them. You're going to have to out-effort them. And you might beat them. Hell, you might sweep the Suns. If they get matched up against the Thunder or the Nuggets, it could be 5 games. But each one of those 5 games is going to be a sweat off. It is going to be balls to the wall, 150% effort, and that's just hard to replicate. But the Suns have to do that every night because they know they don't have as much talent as a lot of other teams in the NBA. If you stacked up the 5 best players in this Heat game, I love doing this. How many players would the Suns have in this game? Devin Booker for sure. Yes. Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Norman Powell. I think most people would say, I'm not saying I would or anyone else, like that's not the point of this exercise. I think most people would say that they would be in the top 5 of this game. And then what? The Suns have Dylan Brooks in there too. And so like these types of games happen. But you did learn something that continues to be there for the Suns. They're going to out-effort you. They're going to outwill you. They're going to have more grit than you. And even if you win, you're going to feel their presence. And the Suns were getting out-rebounded by a lot in the first half. They had 22 points in the paint, the Miami Heat, in the first quarter. And the Suns found a way to get back in this game. In a game that the Heat were totally in control of, totally dominating. By the way, the Suns shot 30% from 3 in this game. Strike that. 29% from 3 in this game. None of this went their way. The officiating was a little bad, if I'm being honest with you. But despite the officiating, despite missing every open 3-point shot, despite some blunders on defense, they still found a way to be in the game. Not many teams can do that. Not even a lot of great teams can do that. Sometimes great teams will say, we'll get them next week. We'll mail it in and they'll be fine. How many times have the Suns came back from leads like that this year? You legitimately can't stop watching the games. The Suns get down by 20. You can't just tell the wife, well, they're down by 20. Let's go to that coffee shop you wanted to go to or whatever. You got to sit there and watch. And that's all and that's truly all you can ask for when you're getting your ass beat in a game like the Suns were. Is can you just make it interesting? And not only did the Suns make it interesting, they made it to where they should have won this game. And if not for Grayson Allen stepping out of bounds, if not for a Mark Williams blunder here or getting out on shooters there, they probably win this game. And I got to tell you, that's more impressive to me than talking about, well, they lost. I'll tell you why they lost. I get that. And some of it you might disagree with me on. But It's just really impressive. It's not refreshing. I'm not going to say it's refreshing to see a team play hard. That's their job, but not everyone does it. And it takes a day one commitment of 365 days out of the year. We're just going to outwork you. And it doesn't always mean that you're going to win a game. And that's what makes it even more impressive that they keep doing it. Because even though they lost tonight, despite giving every last bit of effort, you know tomorrow night, or what is it, Thursday night against the Pistons, they're going to do the same thing. Shooting is a hit or miss thing sometimes. Three-point shooting is a hit or miss thing sometimes. Turnovers, hit or miss thing sometimes. Defense and effort will never go out of style. And the Suns do both. And it's not something you ever have to cross your fingers about, unless, of course, there's injuries. And regardless who the Suns play, later on in the season, tomorrow, or in the playoffs, you're just going to have to bring your 155% A game. Otherwise, you're going to lose games even that you're up by 20 points in. So there's the Suns' grace. Let's get what this loss means. Why did they lose? More deeper dive. And let's do it next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern have become appointment viewing for NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds a little extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping on NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Today's episode is also brought to you by Wayfair. The new year is here, and it's a perfect time to reset your routine, refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and how it feels. That's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop of getting your home back on track, from bedding, mattresses, to storage solutions. For every room, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year off fresh. Wayfair has everything you need for a full home refresh, all in one. Whether you're updating your home, organizing your space, upgrading your work from home setup, Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find exactly what works for your style and home. Recently, I was on Wayfair and I saw a bunch of different stuff that went on sale, and it helped me renovate my workspace a little bit, allowed me to make some things in my home look a little bit better, and shopping is easy, delivery is smooth, and everything arrives exactly as expected. It honestly made getting back into routine this new year feel a lot more manageable. Get organized, refresh, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to Wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's Wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Reminder, guys, thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen today, and thank you for making the Locked On Sports Podcast Network your number one sports podcast network ever. If you haven't already, go check out the new Everydayer Club. It's access to an ad-free audio version of Locked On Suns compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcasting app. An invite to the members-only Locked On Everyday Discourse server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of the show. Go to lockedonsuns.simplecast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Or if you're watching on YouTube, go to the episode description. Check it out there, and you guys can be able to get signed up for that as well. So why did the Suns lose this game? Well, first off, a loss to the Miami Heat. Here's where it does suck. This is the start, obviously, of the Suns' 6-game road trip. And the Suns' 6-game road trip, just to refresh you, that they are currently on, is one, obviously, starting with the Miami Heat tonight. That's a loss where it dropped the Suns to 24-16. But you also have the Detroit Pistons, New York Knicks, the Brooklyn Nets, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Atlanta Hawks. Losing the Miami Heat kind of stinks, because that makes your Brooklyn Nets and Atlanta Hawks games that much more interesting, where it kind of felt like the Heat were your win, the Nets were your win, the Hawks were your win, and now you're talking about, okay, you're trying to steal one from the Pistons, 76ers, or Knicks. And the Suns have already beat the Knicks already. So, like, that's a chance there as well. The Suns want to get some revenge on the Atlanta Hawks, but losing this game kind of stinks because you don't want to come home from this 6-game road trip 1-5, 2-4. You really want to strive for 3-3. You come back, you're 3-3, you survived the road trip. That's what matters to me. So losing this game does kind of suck for that instance. Now, why did the Suns lose this game? Well, a few different things. One, the Suns got killed in the offensive rebounding department to start this game. Now, it's interesting. This is, again, where the Suns' effort comes to play. When the Suns, with the Suns' massive third quarter, where they were down 17 points and completely erased the Miami Heat in this game, where they went into the fourth quarter tied 92-92, the Suns somehow won the rebounding battle. Now, that's just an effort stat. Because one of the things that I was going to talk about in the first half, and this is why it was a tale of two games, was the Suns got not even out effort. They just got manhandled in the first half. You know, I mentioned it before, the points in the paint where the Miami Heat had 22 of them in the first quarter. Well, the points in the paint still favored the Miami Heat in this game, 58-54, but it was much smaller of a gap. So in the first half, you're talking about, well, why did the Suns get down by such a massive margin immediately? Well, one of the things I thought was interesting was, and listen, guys, I don't want this to be, like, just bear with me here on the analysis of this. I don't want this to be we're going after Grayson Allen, because Grayson Allen off the bench tonight was pretty good. 25 points, 6 for 14 from 3, 9 for 19 from the field. That's not terrible. It's good. He was the shot creator the Suns needed tonight, especially when Devin Booker went down with that foot injury, which, again, more on that. Devin Booker played 40 minutes tonight, hurt his foot. I'd be shocked if he plays against the Pistons. My prediction would be, I bet you Devin Booker probably sits out that Pistons game. But Devin Booker wasn't good tonight. He was 6 for 19. He wasn't good shooting the ball tonight. 6 for 19, 1 for 5 from 3. He had a 3-point shot late in this game where the Suns had a chance to take the lead back against the Miami Heat in the fourth quarter. He was 1 for 5 from 3, and that 3-point shot came late in this game where he shot over 2 defenders. Again, not great shot selection, but he had 9 rebounds, 9 assists in this game. 4 turnovers, not great, but you see where Devin Booker is impacting the game. 9 assists in this game matters. Again, and then there's Grayson Allen, who, again, stepped up for Devin Booker. I'm not going after Grayson at all. Grayson is a very good basketball player. One of the reasons why I have mentioned or floated about him being traded was to help make the Suns bigger, is because he's a good basketball player, because I think you can get something for him to help your team. But here's the thing. Even though Grayson had 25 points tonight, and even though he had 13 points, I believe, in the first half, where he was really good in that first quarter, that didn't matter because the Suns were still getting bodied on that end. Where despite what Grayson Allen was doing offensively, the Suns still got down by a massive margin in the first half. But then you could say to me, well, Ben, in the second half, he was really good, and that's what helped spark the Suns' run, and that's true. So it's kind of like a pick your poison type of thing. Despite him being really good in the first half, that didn't work out, and they got down massive. But again, the second half, when the Suns were down by a lot, he figured it out a little bit. So there's that aspect of it as well. But the other thing was the Suns just did a really bad job getting out on shooters late in this game. Like, forget about the rebounds, forget about the points in the paint, forget about me making or not making a point on Grayson Allen. None of that is bigger than the Suns didn't do a good enough job getting out on shooters in this game. They didn't. And that was a little disappointing. I don't know if the Suns ran out of gas, but Bam Adebayo had 3 straight 3-point buckets on the Suns. All of them were wide open or were barely covered. They were too late to adjusting to Bam Adebayo's hot streak shooting the ball. And that can't happen for the Suns. I'm going to be honest with you. Despite Mark Williams having a really good game offensively, He was 8 for 13. He had 18 points. He hit 2 really clutch free throws right in this game and had 18 rebounds, 6 offensive boards. I thought his defense against Bam Adebayo was a little lackadaisical, to say the least. Bam was open numerous times in this game, and you got to get out on those shooters. He was 4 for 6 from 3 tonight. 3 of those came in the fourth quarter. Not to mention, when the Miami Heat actually took the lead late in this game, Bam Adebayo just got them back. Norman Powell came slashing into the middle of the painted area and was wide open for a really free midi and put the Miami Heat up, and they never looked back. So I don't know if the Suns just exerted so much effort trying to get back into this game. Like, truly, I don't know what the problem was there. But what I do know is they didn't do a very good job getting out on shooters. They were late to rotations. It was kind of lackadaisical effort in that realm late in the fourth quarter. And then here's the other thing. There's mental mistakes. The Suns had 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter. To the Miami Heat's 2 turnovers. That is a net of 4 free possessions to the Miami Heat. And there were bad turnovers too. Whether it was, something bad by Mark Williams, whether it was Grayson Allen stepping on the line out of bounds. Like, there was a few different times where Devin Booker lost the ball. Like, it can't happen late in those situations. And I don't want to kill the Suns for that because they've been mostly a really good fourth quarter team all year. But that's one of the big things that sticks out to me is too many mental lapses really late. I'm talking like the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. The Suns were in control of this game from the start of the fourth quarter to about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It wasn't till really late where they were late on shooters, whether it was Bam Adebayo getting an open shot or whether Jaime Jaquez or Tyler Hero were hitting threes. They were still open, whether they were hitting them or not. So, and then of course the offensive rebounds late in this game. The Miami Heat got 3 different attempts at a 3-point shot before Bam Adebayo cut it to 1 on another 3-point jumper. You got to box out better, or you got to get in a bigger lineup. So again, like, I don't want to make it seem like the world is lost. I thought the Suns put up a pretty good effort to get back into this game, but the lackadaisical effort getting out on shooters, the mental lapses with turnovers, and the offensive rebounding. Those things are fixable. You just have to do them. And so that's kind of why the Suns lost this game in a game that they probably otherwise should have won. So let's get to the box score oddity in this one. Let's check out some of the guys' statistics. Let's talk about it. And also the Suns just putrid shooting night and a little bit of Dillon Brooks. Let's do that next. Today's episode is brought to you by the lovely folks over ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like finding a diamond in the rough. You want someone in network, nearby, with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next step. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. I love that you can search for specialty or symptoms and quickly find the right hit. Being able to choose the in-person or video visits makes scheduling way easier. You can check the verified patient reviews to get a real sense of the doctor's vibe and communication style. The real-time availability means you can book instantly, no phone tag. Appointments usually happen within 24 to 72 hours, and they can even have same-day openings. If I needed to book fast, this is the place to go. It just makes the process simpler. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. So looking at the box score oddity from this game, the Phoenix Suns shot 43% from the field to the Miami Heat's 52%. They shot 29% from 3. But the bigger number that's actually interesting is the Suns shot 48 3-point shots. Now, what does that tell you? What does it tell you if the Suns shot 48 threes tonight? They played a much bigger opponent that was clogging the painted area, and the Suns settled for far too many jump shots. Now, the Suns are going to live and die by the three-point ball. We know that. They shoot 40 of them a night, it feels like. But that number 48 number is so massive that you say to yourself, okay, you're going to put up 48 threes a night. You're going to put up 48 threes tonight, but you only hit 29% of them. The Suns shot 14 for 48 from three. They settled on too many three-point jumpers when they probably need to try to attack the painted area. Now, that's easier said than done, because when these bigger teams with Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware can clog the paint on you, Jaime Jaquez, he's a bigger player too. When they clog the painted area on you, you kind of do have to settle for jumpers. But that's where you have to play with some pace. And that's what the Suns did in the third quarter. They pressed the ball. They pressed the issue. They did this for the first like 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. And then when it got slowed down, they kept settling for jumpers. The Miami Heat shot 34% from three. They were 13 for 38 from three. And then the Suns, like, credit to them, they out-rebounded the Miami Heat, but to no avail tonight. 18-9 on the offensive glass, but they still lost. Here's the other number. The Suns had 13 turnovers tonight. Now, that's not a terrible number. The problem is 6 of those came again in the fourth quarter. And the Miami Heat only had 12 turnovers tonight. But the Miami had 12 turnovers tonight. Suns had 13 turnovers tonight. I'm not trying to make it seem like that's a massive discrepancy, because it's not. But the Suns gave up 24 points off turnovers. And the Miami Heat gave up 18 points off turnovers. So they're right there. There's the discrepancy as well. The Miami Heat, 58 points in the paint. I just think that with the Suns' combination of settling for jumpers and the inability to, I think, force the issue a little bit at the line outside of Devin Booker, this is sometimes the outcome you get, even if I don't think it's a terrible loss. And so I would have liked to seen a little bit more Rasheer Fleming in this game. But I think the biggest thing to me is this team needs another shot creator, and that's where Jalen Green is really going to come in handy. I know I've been the guy who's been the most concerned about Jalen Green and his fit on the Phoenix Suns than anybody else in the media. But this is where, like, I'm willing to admit I'm wrong sometimes. I understated just how much the Suns were going to need Jalen Green's shot creating. And he'll be here very soon for this team, like very soon. And I think that's where you talk about, okay, let's see what the Suns can do with three shot creators on the floor. And let's see what Jalen Green can do if he can be more efficient at the basket to help out the Phoenix Suns as a whole. So, with that being said, I don't think it's a terrible loss for the Suns. I don't think it's something the Suns should hang their head about. But I think when you talk about settling for three-point jumpers, the first half miscues, the Suns will get that stuff figured out. And now you just need them to win a different game that you weren't expecting to win. You've got the Brooklyn Nets coming up. You've got the Atlanta Hawks coming up. Can you win both those games? I think they will. But then you've got to steal one from the Pistons, which that's going to be a tough game. But the Suns already beat the Thunder, so it's not impossible. The New York Knicks, who the Suns have already beaten this year, but in New York, it might be a little different, a little hostile. And who's the Philadelphia 76ers, which that's a toss-up game. That is really a go either way game. Because it's on the road, it becomes a toss-up game. If it was in Phoenix, I would take the Suns to win. But with that being said, guys, Suns lose. We haven't said that a lot this year, so it's not like we can bring the swift hammer of justice down. They're moving in the right direction, and I think they're going to be a team that playoff teams are not going to want to deal with come playoff time. So, listen, they lost, but valiant effort from the Phoenix Suns. And we'll see what they can do against the Detroit Pistons on Thursday. With that being said, guys, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Appreciate you guys being here on this edition of Locked On Phoenix Suns. I'm Benjamin Garcia, and it's been Locked On Phoenix Suns. I'll see you guys tomorrow.